Hello. It's so wonderful to be here. I came up here in 2017 to teach and talk for 3.5 months. And it was a wonderful experience. And I fell in love with this country and decided I wanted to live here. And I'm now living in Port Townsend. God got me there. And I have enjoyed the ride. Let me ask you a question. How are you? How are you feeling? How are you healing? Even better. Good, good. That's great. Healing can be complicated. Why? There are so many options, and we have to find our path. How many of you have heard of a chiropractor by the name of Dr. Joe Dispenza that lives over in Olympia? Okay, you've heard about him. Have you taken any of his intensives? Do I have any hands there? Wonderful, wonderful. Well, Dr. Joe Dispenza is a chiropractor, a student of neurology, a metaphysical movie personality, and he has set the world on fire with his New York Times bestseller listed writings. Some of you may have read You Are the Placebo, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself. I do workshops on that one. And then Becoming Supernatural, one of his more recent ones. His documented scientific study of spontaneous remissions proved the statement that shocked me into a belief, into a new belief for me, a belief that I had power over my own health. Your DNA is a parts list of potentials that are awaiting instructions from you. I thought DNA was permanent. I thought once you had it, it was always with you. And Dr. Dispenza has told me otherwise. And here are some of the thoughts behind all that. One of the things that we often forget, modern medicine has gotten so mechanical and everything. And it's wonderful if you need a new knee or if you want to be the $1 million man, modern medicine, Western medicine can provide all this. But what Dispenza has brought to us is an addition of how we can help heal ourselves through our own power that's within each and every one of us. And when he told me this in one of the introductory sessions, I thought, oh no, another guy who says that I have to do it myself. I'm so sick of that. But having been in New Thought all these years, I know that the answer is both mind and body that are involved in our healing. And one of the persons that and then I also think, well, where do I begin? How do I do this? How did I do mind first, do body first? So when I was in All Is Well Institute, I finally got some guidance and put things together. There are several people in our area that, in addition to Dispenza, who are remarkable on lecturing on mind and body healing. One of them is Gabor Mate. Have any of you ever heard a lecture of Gabor Mate? Fantastic, right? Gabor Mate was born in a Nazi concentration camp during World War II. And he experienced, as a young child in that environment, he experienced a lot of bumps and knocks and stress, total stress. Growing up, can you imagine a baby growing up in that environment? I can't even imagine what it must have been like for his family. But he's written a book called When the Body Says No, Exploring the Stress-Disease Connection. And there's several quotations that I pulled from the preface of his book. A US study found that women who are unhappily married and do not express their emotions have a greatly increased risk of death compared with similarly unhappy women who do not repress their feelings. Okay, girls, speak up. Canadian research has shown that people abused in childhood have a nearly 50% increased risk of cancer in adulthood. Oh. Such data as this are manifestations of what the psychiatrist and author Daniel Siegel has termed interpersonal neurobiology, known today as interpersonal biology. In New Thought, we call it the mind-body connection. We keep it simple. Next slide, please. The general consensus of Mate's patients when he did his survey, and this is all revealed in his book, was that the more specialized doctors become, the more they know about a body part or organ, and the less they tend to understand the human being in whom that part or organ resides. When I was 13, I had been to church youth camp, roughing it for 10 days in the mountains in Colorado. And immediately afterward, with no break, I was sent to music camp. I had no desire to go there whatsoever. I had already stubbornly refused to learn to play the piano, which my mother had purchased with my money that I was saving to buy a pony. My misery manifested as a severe pain in my right side and in my stomach. And after numerous tests by my small town doctor, he pronounced me healthy and told me it was psychosomatic. Remember that word bandied about in the 70s? We don't use it now anymore. And that physician never bothered to recommend any other kind of treatment. That pain persisted, resulting in what would be called today several unnecessary surgeries. Much later in life, as a student and a charter member of All Is Well Institute in Davis, California, I gained confidence in my ability to overcome the chronic pain that had been my constant companion in my right side for over half a century. These studies at All Is Well Institute and the exercises found in curablehealth.com, as well as the Dispenza meditations, gave me the tools to throw out my mental trash and overcome the habit of a lifetime. My body had become a depository for all my unexpressed emotions and longings. My well-intentioned mother wanted me to excel in music. All I had ever wanted as a child was a horse and riding lessons. Bless her heart, she did her best. Early on, I learned not to tell anyone what I really wanted. Next slide, please. Dr. Dispenza, this slide sorts out our projected self and how there is a self underneath it. It's 95% of who we really are that no one ever sees, and all the emotions that are within us that are rarely revealed or discussed. As ancient philosophies and healing practices of cultures around the world have recognized, everything in the human body and brain is interconnected. Despite breathtaking scientific advances in delineating that unity, people do not become ill despite their lives, but rather because of their lives. We have not appreciated the implications of the mind-body connection and have not incorporated it into Western medical practice. Our Western religious beliefs are strongly tied to the healing practices of the most well-known metaphysical teacher and lecturer of them all, Jesus the Christ. The Fillmores of Unity, Earnest Holmes of Science of Mind, they all studied under Emma Curtis Hopkins, who was a very well-known mind-body teacher. And that was at the beginning of New Thought, of which both Unity and Centers for Spiritual Living are a part now. And I have, over the years, I have been licensed in both so that I could pull the common elements together and help people realize that these are two branches of the same tree. And it's been a wonderful journey. In the 70s, Dr. John Sarno, who was a renowned back surgeon and just incredibly well-known, went on television and was interviewed by Barbara Walters. And he made the statement, surgeries, back surgeries, in many cases are totally unnecessary. It's easier to say, hey, doc, get rid of this for me. I don't want to work on it myself. Have you ever done that? Ever since then, there have been a constant procession of spiritual leaders that have emphasized the importance of the mind-body connection in healing. Eric Butterworth, a Unity minister, in some of his writings on healing, quotes Dr. James H. Means, professor of clinical medicine at Harvard University, who once said, "The patient, when he is sick, should send for his spiritual consultant as quickly as he sends for his doctor." The principles of mind-body healing has been a part of New Thought ministries for over 150 years. So why is a relative newcomer, Dr. Joe Dispenza, a metaphysical author, chiropractor, student of neurology, getting so much attention? First, he is walking again after an accident which left him flat, face down, on a gurney, unable to walk, with 6 broken vertebrae. Secondly, his mind-body healing methods have been the talk of 6 continents in his 7-day mind-blowing intensives. By incorporating both science and faith in the art of meditation, he leads his students into finding or sourcing both science and faith in that meditation and experiencing wonderful healings. Through brain mapping of the intensive attendees in these gatherings, neuroscientists have helped him verify the methods that move us to heal ourselves. We now have proof that we can heal ourselves through brain mapping. Isn't it nice to know that faith can be brain mapped? I think that's wonderful. Next slide, please. The opioid crisis has made many aware of an unsurpassed need for an alternative to pharmaceutical healing modalities. We know that the pharmaceutical industry has taken advantage of many chronic pain sufferers. We all know life includes not only physical factors like diet, physical activity, and the environment, it also includes the internal milieu of stress and all the different emotions that affect us. We all know life includes those physical factors, and we also know that unconscious emotions govern much of our physiology. And that's buried in that 95% of who we really are. Thought governs the mechanisms of stress and the unity of the systems that modulate nerves, hormones, immunity, digestion, and cardiovascular function. Much disease could be prevented and healed if we fully understood the scientific evidence verifying the mind-body unity. Past stresses, accidents, health conditions, relationships, family and romantic, good, exciting relationships and dreadful ones, isolation, rejection, discrimination, and many more stresses have their effect on our bodies. And what happens when those stresses affect us? The brain tells the body what to do. And the blood flow shifts from the frontal lobes, the conscious way of thinking, into the limbic system, or the emotional reacting fight or flight part of the brain, like the amygdala, into the amygdala and the ANS, which is the autonomic nervous system. And what's affected? Muscles, blood flow, nervous system, heart, gastrointestinal system. Every part of the body can feel some type of symptom after a while. And what happens after so many palpitations and after dealing with rapid heart rate, headaches and migraines, once this happens, then it's very easy for us to get worried about all that. And when we get worried about it, what happens? That brings on more stress. And so the cycle continues and repeats, and that emotion that upset us so long ago, or that physical injury that we had that the doctors managed to, put us, sew us back together and put us in a cast and get us back together. Sometimes that pain just stays around. And one of the things that I learned found the most useful when I was studying all this was I could talk to my amygdala. I could say, Miggy, I've healed that broken leg. And there should be no lingering pain. So stop it. Just forget that it was ever there. You will find yourself doing some of really crazy things, talking to your amygdala. But Miggy's pretty obedient. And, I've been really happy with them. So, I think it's important that we remember that sometimes, even if we've recovered from something, I have a friend who actually had two bilateral quadricep rupture just walking down the street. This one popped, this tendon popped, and then 30 seconds later, the other tendon popped. We have no idea the source of that affliction, but it's taken a year to get, the kneecaps. The doctor drilled holes in the kneecaps and then stretched the tendons and reattached them to the knees. And 1 year later, he's walking and everything's good. Now we have to watch for, okay, how long is this pain going to last? You're pretty much healed physically. Is there any aftermath from this huge emotional trauma that this person experienced? Let's move on to the next slide. And this is in reference to the alpha theta factor, which is a big part of meditation. And it explains why meditation can make such a difference in your healing. Even if you're doing a physical healing, it's always enhanced. In the matter of chronic pain, the brain and central nervous system learn to continue to put the body into a painful state over time. And in the same way, our bad habits are entrenched by our negative thoughts. Your brain changes electromagnetically when you are focused versus when you are in an aroused state due to stressors in your life. You will learn that the true purpose of meditation is to get beyond the analytical mind and enter into the subconscious mind, that 95%, where you can make real and permanent changes. If you get up from meditation as the same person who sat down, nothing has happened to you on any level. Nothing can move you from that level of energy. And now but once you make that gain, you're moving forward. And you may find yourself, you may start with 20 minutes a day and move on to more and more time because you will see results. And in this perspective, your DNA really is a parts list for healing. Wonderful concept, wonderful idea. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Oh, that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. Dispenza recommends that you spend time contemplating who you want to be. This is how we bring about change. The mere process of contemplating who you want to be begins to change your brain. Meditating is a means for you to move beyond your analytical mind so that you can access your subconscious mind. And that's crucial, since the subconscious is where all your bad habits and behaviors that you want to change reside. He also states we're addicted to our beliefs. We're addicted to the emotions of our past. We see our beliefs as truths and not as ideas that we can change. The quantum field responds not to what we want, it responds to who we are being. The hormones of stress, in the long term, push the genetic buttons that create disease. The hormones of stress make us feel separate from possibility, separate from learning and creation and trust. And when you are observing the old self, you are no longer the program. You become the consciousness observing the program. And that's when you begin to objectify your subjective self. A lot of words for a cycle, another building upon building. Same thoughts always lead to the same choices lead to the same behavior, and the same behaviors lead to same experiences, and the same experiences produce the same emotions, and those emotions drive the very same thoughts. That's exhausting, isn't it? But that's what we do. That's what we do when we add more worry and don't really try to learn how to think in a more positive way. If your personal reality is creating your personality, you are a victim. But if your personality is creating your personal reality, then you are a creator. And I think it's our goal, it's our purpose in life to be creators. Next slide. You control your destiny. Can you believe in a future that you cannot see or experience with your senses, but you've thought about enough times in your mind that it's now wired in your brain? And can you emotionally embrace a future potential before the actual experience so many times that you emotionally condition your body to reflect that new mind by signaling new genes in new ways? We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, therefore, is not an action, but a habit. You have to feel empowered, and Dispenza goes on to say this, and these words are so important. You have to feel empowered for your success to show up. You have to feel abundant for your wealth to find you. You have to feel gratitude to create the life that you want. Knowledge is power, but knowledge about yourself is self-empowerment. Develop the spiritual practice of meditation on a daily basis. Dispenza sets aside 2 hours a day for meditation, no matter what time zone he is in. And he's all over the world. He may not need all that time, but he does not get up until he has experienced a change. Healing must be maintained. Set your intention for what you want to change. Visualize your future you. After all, you did that when you were thinking about going to college, didn't you? Or when you were planning your wedding? You visualized everything. How everything would look, what the college would look like, what the church would look like, what the dress would look like. You know, you built an image into your mind. It's said that sometimes after the age of 35, we stop doing that. We stop dreaming, we stop visioning. And it's very important that we continue to do that throughout our entire life. I've had older people say to me in my workshops, they've said, well, I'm old and, you know, I'm just wearing out, my body's wearing out, and I don't see how anything like this could help me. Well, those people are still following me on my YouTube channel and communicating with me. They have found that they can improve their life and improve the quality of their life by doing the visioning that comes in meditation and tapping into those inner resources that are there and saying, hey, I'm moving forward. Maybe the body's wearing out a little, but I'm still here and I'm going to make everything the best it can possibly be. So I think it's really important that you set your intention to want to change. It's not going to happen for you unless you want things to get better. And visualize your future you. You don't have to throw away your walker or stop taking your pharmaceuticals. You will need them less in time. And if you can, find an MD who understands your goals and supports you on your journey. Next slide. And Dispenza often ended one of the intensives that I attended with this slide. He says, change your voicemail. Some simple instructions in how to change. I'm not available right now, but thank you for caring enough to call. I'm making some changes in my life. Please leave a message after the beep. And if I do not return the call, you are one of the changes. Namaste, loved ones. Namaste. Now, I do have a prayer, the part of the prayer that that Dispenza uses in his meditation. And if you would like to gather after we close out, I would be more than happy to do that prayer with you. But I'm going to close with a prayer that means a lot to me. I can find it. Yes, would you like to do the Dispenza meditation? I can abbreviate it enough. I think you will really get what we're up to, what he's up to, what he's trying to teach everyone. And I suggest too that you look up the testimonials on YouTube of people who have been through the Dispenza program. You'll be very impressed. You'll find that people have healed themselves in ways that was never dreamed possible. Okay, let's begin by taking a deep breath and focusing our awareness on that one presence and one power that's always active in our lives, God the Good. Sit up straight, breathing in through the nose and breathing out through the mouth. Continue your breathing, allowing your breath to become slower and deeper in the body cavity, all the way to the base of the spine. Imagine the breath to be a ball of energy moving up the spinal column, releasing tension in every muscle, bone, nerves, and tissue on its path to the top of your head, the crown center. And from the crown energy center, release the breath. Let the energy of the breath shower around your body, coating your body like cotton candy on its paper stem. Do that breath, deep, 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 all the way up to the crown, and releasing it and letting it shower around you. Do that 2 more times. In the next breath, bring the breath up in a new way, tightening the muscles of the pelvis and forcing that energy up against the vertebrae of your lower back, up the spine to the mid-thoracics, to the back of your throat, your creative center. Hold it momentarily at the base of the skull. And then move that breath upward, releasing the breath through the crown of the head again. Do this new breath 2 more times. And when you're done, allow your breathing to become normal. Now there is a powerful intelligence within you that is giving you your life, which loves you so much. When your will matches its will, when your mind matches its mind, when your love for life matches its love for you, it always responds. It will move in you and all around you, and you will see evidence in your life as a result of your efforts to be greater than your environment, to be greater than the conditions in your life, to be greater than the feelings memorized in the body, to think greater than the body, to be greater than time. All this means that you are tugging on the garment of the divine. Your destiny then is a reflection of, a co-creation with, a greater mind. Love yourself enough to do this. Recognizing. Now you cannot create a new future while holding on to the emotions of the past. What is the emotion that you wanted to unmemorize? Is it guilt? Is it fear? Is it anger? Shame? Anxiety? Frustration? Remember what that emotion feels like in your body as you do a body scan with your breath. And recognize the familiar state of mind that is driven by that emotion. Declaring, now it's time to free the body from the mind, to close the gap between how you appear and who you are. It's time to liberate your energy. Release your body from the familiar emotional bonds which keep you connected to everything, every place, and everyone in your past and present reality. Take another deep breath, and then decide to make a command. I want you to say the emotion you want to change out loud and liberate it from your body as well as your environment. Say it now. Yes. Yes. Free yourself from the chains of your past at this very moment. Observing and reminding. Now let's make sure that no thought, no behavior, No habit that causes you to return to the old self goes unnoticed by you. To make sure, let's become conscious of those unconscious states of mind and body. And with firm intention, make a choice to no longer be that person and let the energy of your decision become a memorable experience. Creating. Now, what is the greatest expression of yourself that you can be? How would a great person think? How would a great person act? Live, love, feel. When you change your energy, you change your life. Let the thought become the experience, and let that experience produce an elevated emotion so that your body begins to emotionally believe that the future you is already living now. Let the inward experience become a mood, then a temperament, and finally, a new personality. Once you feel the way and memorize this feeling, this is who you really are. You know the new you. Now let go and release it into the quantum field for a moment. Just let that new you go out there. And imagine what you look like, what you feel like, what you're doing. Rehearsing. Let's fire and wire a new mind and recondition the body to a new emotion. Expand your heart. And from this new state of being, form a picture of some event you want to experience. And let the image become the blueprint of your future. Do not analyze. Do not try to figure out how it's going to happen. It's not your job to control the outcome. It is your task to create and leave the details to a greater mind. And as you see your future as the observer, simply bless your life with your own energy. Give thanks for a new life. Feel like your prayers are already answered. And then do a little test. Finally, it's time to turn to that power within, to turn to seek a sign in your life and ask that sign from the quantum field to come in a way that you would least expect, that surprises you and leaves no doubt that this new experience has come from universal mind, God the good, Spirit, the One, Yahweh, life. Breathe, take a deep breath, and in closing, now bring your awareness back to your new body, to a new life, to a whole new future time, and when you're ready, you can open your eyes. Namaste. Do that every day and miracles will happen.